President, it's very good to see you. Thank you for welcoming me for a courtesy visit, especially after all the time you gave me on Sunday, and to the delegation. The ACC, the Anglican Consultative Council, has been meeting busily since Monday morning and getting a lot of work done. And I'd like to start by thanking you in two respects. First, for the hospitality of Ghana, which we are enjoying very much, and will continue to enjoy through till next Sunday, and particularly tomorrow when we go down to Cape Coast. And enjoy is probably not the right word for Cape Coast, but we will learn. And we have with us, who arrived yesterday evening, the head of the First Church States Commissioner from Barbados. He runs, he's a British citizen now, but he runs the finances of the Church of England and was behind the decision to commit £100 million to impact investment, looking for the future, in the use of Church Commissioners' funds as the beginning of a programme of seeking to share our sorrow for the Church of England's past involvement in slavery. He will come down with us to the coast tomorrow before he flies back tomorrow night to London. But that is a leading, we are the first church to do this of an international scale, and it is the beginning, I hope, of a long process of engagement which I trust will go well with the Ghanaian government as well as the governments in the West Indies. The second thing to thank you for, as well as your hospitality, is that many of the nations from which people have come for this conference do not have Ghanaian consulates or embassies, and you very kindly allowed them to apply for visas when they arrived here, and in fact to get visas when they arrived here. And I'd like to thank you and your immigration service for that. It's a great favour, and I must say it would be nice if we did the same thing sometimes in the United Kingdom. But I probably am straying into a minefield there, and I might just stop walking, walk backwards and go on to something else. We've been discussing a number of very important subjects this week, and a lot of them are brought vividly to life by being in Ghana. For example, the issue of trafficking and modern slavery, which we discussed at length this morning. We had a lengthy discussion as well this morning on what's called the Anglican Health Network, and the British doctor who made the presentation, who is an Anglican from the United Kingdom, commented with a long list of very distinguished Ghanaian doctors who were behind such things as the development of primary care around the world, vaccination against smallpox around the world through the World Health Organization, with much resistance from several people, and also have been very influential in resisting resistance to the COVID vaccination. I was very struck by the number of Ghanaians involved in that, and it made me reflect that, to use an expression used by a former foreign secretary in the United Kingdom, Ghana punches above its weight. And it's a big country, but not as big as some, but has played a very prominent role around health. We also discussed at some length today the issues around families, and that was, again, we see huge destruction of the traditional patterns of family through hunger, through the refugee crises, which are now enormous, through rising temperatures and climate change, and through war and terrorism. Again, Ghana is playing a significant role in this as well as in the combat against slavery, modern slavery and human trafficking. And of the other issues we've discussed that are of wider importance, I suppose the most sensitive within the Anglican Communion has been that around human sexuality and identity. That has been a very difficult issue, as I'm sure you are aware. There are radically different views on this around the world, and it is an area in which many countries try to enforce their view on others. What we are trying to do in the Anglican Communion, you'll hear many stories, is to remember that when we talk about human sexuality, we're dealing with people. And they're people for whom Christ died, as for all of us. And therefore we seek to find a way forward in which every human being, regardless of any other factors, may know that they are loved by Jesus Christ and has an opportunity to find the salvation which comes from Christ. And that is the position of the Church of England and many other churches. There are different views within the Communion, and every international church is struggling with this. I know it's a very hot topic in Ghana. I will go nowhere near telling you what to do. I have a lot of trouble telling anyone what to do. I just raise that as a plea for the recognition that behind these issues are always human beings, and that Christ loved me enough to die for me and you enough to die for you, Your Excellency, and that's where I start. And I was, by the grace of God, brought to faith in Christ at the age of 19. There have been many other topics we're suggesting on which we're in agreement: climate change and the risk of war, of the spread of the Ukraine-Russian war, the longing for peace, are the two most important that could affect us all very deeply over the next year. The call from God in the Beatitudes is, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God." I know from our conversation, Your Excellency, that you are deeply aware of the tensions in the region, of the tragedies in Mali and Chad, a number of people, the helpless people who are herded by war from one place to another as if they were cattle, forgetting their humanity, their suffering, and their pain. And I know that Ghana is deeply committed to seeking, not only for its own sake, but out of its deep conscience and spirituality, peace in the area. And I welcome that and thank you so much for the fact that you are committed to that. On climate change as well, I was very struck that a year ago at my New Year's broadcast, when I was filming it in December 21, we went to Kew Gardens in London. We filmed it there, which of course is one of the great botanical research centres. And lo and behold, the professor who I saw at Kew was showing me around in front of the cameras, and they showed me a coffee plant and a cocoa plant. And they said, we are developing breeds that will cope with 2 degrees Celsius more average temperature than currently prevails, and she mentioned Ghana, in Ghana. And I thought, this is hope, that science may find ways of enabling people in Ghana and similar countries to flourish despite the historic abuse of the climate, which has come not from us, not from Ghana or from Africa, from the global south, but has come from the global north, and which the global north must take responsibility for financially and in other ways to arrest. Your Excellency, as I said on Sunday, you face all the pressures of an enormously significant job on the continent of Africa and around the world. In 1945, after the greatest war in human history, there were 25 million refugees. Today, there are 90-something million refugees. The International Panel on Climate Change reckons that by 2050, there will be somewhere between 800 million and 1.2 billion refugees and IDPs because of climate change, driven by the conflicts that will erupt as people are short of water and food and are forced to move and bump into other people. Your Excellency, I hope that under your wise leadership and that of your successors, Ghana will be one of those that are looked to as having been successful in what it does in its own country, but also as being a world leader to avert such catastrophe for the human race, which will affect us all. You have a heavy responsibility, and you will continue in our prayers, our affection, and our gratitude. Thank you, Your Excellency.
So, Archbishop and the members of your delegation, let me first of all welcome you once again back to Jubilee House. We had the privilege of hosting a dinner in your honor and that of the delegation and members of the Consultative Council on Sunday, and it's a great deal of pleasure to have you back here again. One of the biggest problems that we're having in Ghana today already, of course, is the issue of refugees. As a result of the dislocations that are taking place within the Sahel, we have, until recently, it was quite evident, people coming from Chad, littering our streets, young people, young children and women in very disastrous circumstances. We now have an influx of people from Burkina Faso as a result of the turbulence and insurgency that is going there. So we're very familiar with the issue of refugees and the need for us to, all of us, find a solution to stability and to good governance in these various countries. The idea that by 2050 there'll be 1.2 billion refugees in the world is an alarming prospect for all of us, and we have every reason to find solutions to these matters. So, as I say, I'm very encouraged by the agenda of the Consultative Council. It's an agenda that we can sympathize with very much. The issue of human sexuality and identity is today a very current issue, a very live issue here in Ghana. It has even produced the legislation, a private member's legislation in the House, which the Parliament is grappling with. The consequences, hopefully, will be ones that will recognize the culture and the societal attitudes, but at the same time recognize the humanity of all people involved, and hopefully the law that will be fashioned will be a law that enables this balance to be carefully struck. But the Parliament is in full grips with that. I will have my say on it at the end of the day, but for the time being, we will leave it to the Parliament too. But the development that is really quite dramatic and extremely welcome is the intervention you have made on the issue of the slave trade and slavery generally. We've taken quite a forward position on the issue of reparations in Ghana. In fact, I have had it tabled to be an issue of discussion at Addis Ababa this weekend at the AU Summit. Yes, where we're moving for the establishment of an African reparatory program and committee to spearhead the discussions on this matter, so that whatever steps are taken by us in Africa are ones that are coherent, are ones that are are well thought out, and that at the same time recognize all the implications of what has gone place. So I think that the initiative you have taken already to commit a large sum of money towards impacting the results of it, whether it's going to be in education or wherever it is that is being done, I think is an extremely commendable and worthwhile initiative on your part. And it is one that is very worthy of commendation by other churches and all other civil society groups in the world. So we find ourselves working very much in tandem with you as far as that is concerned. It's an important matter for us. So we are happy that all these portentous, important matters are being debated on Ghanaian soil, and I assume that some sort of communique or declaration will come out of the council, which will bear the name of Accra on it. So we're looking forward to that, and we want once again to welcome you and to say that we are continue to be very honored by your choice of our country to hold this important meeting, and we're hoping that it'll be a regular feature of Lambeth Palace to have meetings here in Accra, etc. So thank you very much for coming, and your delegation, and we hope that the rest of the week will be very fruitful, productive for you, for the church in Ghana, as well as for the people of Ghana in general. So you're welcome once again. Thank you. Thank you.
Bishop Anthony, Your Excellency is the most senior figure in the... It is a crucifix for you as a reminder, both of this conference, but more than that. I often look at the crucifix on our altar in Lambeth Palace Chapel and think, this is what God looks like. And it moves me so deeply that our Saviour went to the cross for us all. And this is what he took upon himself. So it is my honour to present it to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.